Hello guys, and welcome to the cabin of what I think is going to be one of my favorite cars of the year, the 992 generation of Porsche's GT3. Now, how do I know that it's going to be one of my favorite cars? Well, firstly, it's a Porsche and they rarely disappoint, and they really sharpen their pencils and put their best foot forward when it comes to the GT3. Now, I've driven every GT3 ever since the 996 generation. They've never made a bad GT3. So I'm expecting a lot from this car. Also, manual. Now, I can't remember when last I drove a GT Porsche with a manual box. It might have been a 996, but I certainly still had hair back then. Anyway, this should be a fun drive. Let's see what you can do. Before we get going though, just a few notes on the spec of this particular test car. As I've mentioned, it's a manual, and Porsche expects about 30% of customers to go for this option. The massive rear wing is standard too, and actually integral to the car's incredible downforce. Even in standard factory trim, the new GT3 has 50% more downforce than its predecessor. Moving inside, the roll cage is part of the free optional Club Sport package, but the catch is that you must specify these lovely carbon-backed seats, and they cost 86,000 Rand. The brakes have been upgraded from the previous model, and the discs now measure 408mm at the front, but this particular car also has the optional carbon ceramic disc setup, so it's ready for lots of track use. Right guys, so as one tends to do when you get the keys to a Porsche GT and you're in the Western Cape, you head for the beautiful Franschhoek Pass, which has a great surface, which I think will be really suited to this car. There will be a few things to get used to though. This has a 6-speed box, not the 7-speed box because that's apparently too heavy. Chassis in sport, not in race mode, and general driving mode is going to sport. And that means the sport exhaust system is on and the auto blip mode is on as well, and the chassis is in sport. So apparently this car sounds amazing. It revs to 9,000 RPM. Let's find out. Woo! If you hear any crying or whimpering or giggling, there's my passenger. Hopefully you're just hearing the wail of that flat 6, which now delivers 375 kilowatts, which is only about not even 10 kilowatts up on the figure of before, and 470 newton meters of torque. But the thing is, this car is just so responsive on the throttle. Hear the ceramic brakes screeching there. This road surface is just ideally suited to this car. That was 9,000. That is exhilarating. So guys, as you can see, there's a bit of a continuity problem here in terms of my wardrobe, and that's because the first day's filming didn't really go according to plan logistically, so and I only brought one clean white shirt, so apologies for that. but Porsche has been kind enough to give me another crack at the manual 911 GT3, and I can tell you a little bit more about it, and maybe you can hear it sing a little bit more as well. It's going to be a short drive. It does sound good, this car. So the thing about this GT3, if you look at the sort of main figures and announcements, it all seems to be quite incremental, the improvements over its very impressive predecessor. So power is up by less than 10 kilowatts, torque is up by about 10 Newton meters. It's got the same 0 to 100 meters time of 3.4 seconds, and the top speed as well is sort of similar at just under 320 kilometers per hour as well. Sounds fantastic! But if you start digging a little bit deeper into what they're saying about this car, you also find out that it is 17 seconds faster around the Nurburgring than its predecessor, and that is a lot. So there's been a lot of detail work about this car to make it faster around something like the Nurburgring. There's a lot of airflow management going on underneath the car, and it's got this massive rear wing which can be adjusted in 4 different settings. And then it's got this this new front suspension, double wishbone front suspension for the first time, and that makes a big difference. It's, you know, with a rear engine car, it is really difficult for engineers to design the car in a way that it turns in sharply and that the rest of the car follows it faithfully, and that's been the eternal struggle with the 911 for Porsche's engineers. And what they've done is they've gone to their racing department and they've used the double wishbone front axle from some of their racing cars. You just never get tired of that. So what else is new? So there's a lot of lightweight materials all around, a lot of aluminium, a lot of carbon, but it's not massively lighter than its predecessor. But the front axle specifically, coupled with the massive downforce improvement, and then also the tires, you know, this runs 20-inch wheels in front, 21 inches at the back, and both of them are 10 millimeters wider than before. So, and then also, sorry, before I forget, up to 50 kilometers per hour, you've also got rear axle steering, so it sort of virtually shortens the wheelbase for tighter turn-ins at lower speeds, and it shortens the turning circle as well. So a lot of little details like that has made this car like pin sharp to drive. Sitting right here right now, I think a McLaren 720S is the car that gave me a similar feeling to this in terms of its directness of the response to the steering. So for example, if you're on a bumpy road in this car and your hands move on the steering wheel and you get that kind of effect, you really have to be concentrating, you have to be on it, because this car reacts to every input immediately, which is great. It's what you want from a driver's car, right? It does mean to me, however, that this feels a lot like an RS. So after 2 days of driving, first the manual and then the PDK, which one would I take? I think, me personally, I would go for the PDK. And that's not meant to be negative about the manual at all. I think if you really going to be using the car at the track very often, then you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of the manual, don't get me wrong. But for me, and the way that I would see me using a car like this, where it would be more than a track to it, be something like, you know, that I might occasionally want to, you know, drive to the office or back, or just to go for a bit of a cruise. I think the PDK makes more sense. It's more relaxed in that 7th gear, you know, when you're just sort of cruising, and when you're really on it, and you get to a challenging piece of road, the gearbox is really fast, that PDK, and it allows you to concentrate better. Now, I'm not a racing driver, so I don't count myself as a, you know, super, you know, Volta-roll. So for me, it allows me to better concentrate on my steering, on my throttle inputs, on my brakes, and I can actually enjoy driving a really challenging piece of road more with the PDK than with a manual. But that is very specific to me. I think if you are a semi-professional driver, then the manual will just be pure bliss. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them, actually. Maybe you should just buy two. And that's the thing about Porsches and GT3s is, you know, cars that offer similar kind of thrills from other brands, you probably have to spend double. So in South Africa, the 992 GT3 RS costs 3.11 million rand without options, which is a lot of money, but I mean, you're getting what I think is, well, firstly, beyond question, one of the most engaging, purest forms of driving thrills that you can still buy on the market. No four-wheel drive, no turbos, beautiful naturally aspirated engine, 9,000 rev limit, screaming engine, responsiveness that is off the charts, steering sharpness and feel, tactility that is just off the charts. But you get out of the car after a hard drive and you walk away knowing that tomorrow you start the car up, it's going to do it again, and the next day it's going to do it again. The build integrity that you can feel in this car, which comes largely, I guess, from Porsche's racing program, and the many hours of racing that, you know, these components have been exposed to, you just feel it. You just know that you're buying a car, a 3 million rand car that is not just a toy. It's something that's going to last, and it's something that you will want to cherish and keep forever, most likely. I would have one in a heartbeat. It's just fantastic. And you know, GT3 is a sub-brand within the Porsche range, even within the 911 range. And as I said in the beginning, I've been fortunate enough to have driven all the GT3s. They've never made a bad one, and each one has just been better, 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 better. And this is just another big step. Interestingly, if you compare it with the 996, the original GT3, this car is almost a full minute faster around the Nurburgring than that car. And that shows you the progress since 1999. But I don't think this car is about the measurables. It's about smiles, it's about noise, it's about feeling everything that's going on the road. I don't know how many more years we have of seeing cars like this launched, because I tell you what, electric cars are going to be fast. And actually, I don't have any problem with electric cars, but I am going to miss the sound of a Porsche 911 flat 6 naturally aspirated engine blasting to 9,000 revs per minute. I love it. I knew I would. told you so. Yeah, this is why I became a motoring journalist. Cars like this.